That's like going outside with fucking honey smeared all over your fucking dick and then complaining that the fucking bears are eating your fucking junk. Don't give him the attention. Why, maybe he'll come on and debate me.
Stephen Kenneth Bunnell II, holy shit.
Okay. We're off to a strong start. Oh, man. Good luck. Good luck, guys.
Stephen Kenneth Bunnell II, holy shit, that's a human name, also known by his nom de plume Destiny, is an American video game streamer whose opinions we apparently have to take seriously now. If you're a big Destiny fan, that's cool. Just chill out for a minute. I'm not gonna pick on him too bad. I just happen to think he's not very politically literate, and sometimes he runs his mouth and gets himself into trouble. Now I totes get it. I'm some nobody, and I get to throw out my opinions all over the internet, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Go ahead, dislike the video, fools. It only makes the algorithm consider me more engaging. Even now, my power grows. Any clown can log on to YouTube and say whatever, and some people will listen, and that is okay. People are gonna listen to me, a sweaty weirdo, talk about politics, then it must have been pretty exciting when an already famous person, in a pretty toxic field no less, decided to publicly de-pants alt-right weirdos. I mean, the first time I heard about Destiny was when he was styling on JonTron and outed him as a white nationalist, which is a weird political alignment for a Persian dude, but regardless, Destiny clowned on him, and that was fun. And it was good, and everybody liked it when he did that, and we were all tickled pink and pleased as punch.
Why not? Why do we have to take immigration from all these areas?
Because it helps grow the size of the economy and it brings talent in from other areas to continue to benefit the entire country.
It benefits the global elites. That's the only people it benefits.
Dude,
it doesn't
you make like millions of dollars making YouTube videos. You don't count as a global elite? What are you talking? Are you like the working man now?
So what are you gonna do when you got a content style that working? You're gonna keep it going, baby. Destiny started clowning on a greater variety of ding-dongs, mostly far-right YouTubers like Lauren Southern.
I like how there are people that think that like I literally didn't exist before JonTron, but okay.
Carl Benjamin and Count Dankula. Then something entirely unpredictable happened. Destiny pivoted to debating leftos, and now he's debating all sorts of communoids, like Peter Coughing, the Serfs, and Michael Brooks. And he's very convinced the left are just a bunch of bozos, even though he doesn't understand the basics of what we believe. In a debate about anarchism with America Jonestown, Destiny had to have it explained to him that Marxism, Leninism, and anarchism are not the same thing, and he had to have it explained to him by an anarchist and a Marxist-Leninist, and they explained it a few times each, and by the end I'm not so sure he actually grasped the distinction, or that there was a distinction. He spent the whole debate trying to trap American in some sort of weak logic trap.
Wait, if I try to ask somebody what... Dude, when I ask somebody what they mean by their beliefs, I do this because every single fucking lefty that I talk to has a different set of beliefs. I've heard like 12 different definitions for communism. I'm still not 100% sure. Like, my understanding of anarchy is basically some system that tries to eliminate hierarchies, whatever the fuck that means, or unjust hierarchies in like the broadest sense of the word. My understanding of communism is in the broadest sense of the word, like a stateless, currency-less system and that's it. I don't know outside of that. Like, I'm always going to ask somebody that I'm debating, especially when it comes to this dumbass lefty shit, hey, what does this mean to you? Because every single one has a different set of beliefs. Because every time I debate one of them, I get a different email from someone who's like, hey, that last that guy, he doesn't believe the right things. Let me tell you why. Like, every fucking time. But, okay.
By selectively listening to his arguments and trying to own him with gotcha questions. And it kept blowing up in his face because he didn't understand the basic principles of what he was arguing against. He went into the discussion with the intention of winning, rather than coming away with a richer understanding of his opponent's worldview, which he...
It was a debate. Yeah, of course I go into this. I mean, like, it's so weird. People use winning as like a proxy for other things. If I go into a discussion with somebody about something I disagree on, obviously I think I'm correct. obviously my goal is going to be to show that I'm correct. That's a given for any conversation where we have a disagreement. What do you think? I just walk in like, I don't have any strong opinions at all. Well, tell me what you want me to believe, sir. Like, what's the alternative here? I mean, like, it sounds like when people say this, it's usually what they're trying to say is the other person isn't concerned with listening to the other side, or the other person isn't concerned with making valid arguments. They're doing some sort of post hoc rationalization, or they're like not listening to their opponent or whatever. Well, let's see if that's what he's getting at. Let's see if that's substantiated. Oh boy.
He'd already decided was not worth considering.
Okay.
In a way, that is kind of what makes Destiny a good debater. He's able to stay resolute in his beliefs and speak from a place of authority that is convincing to an audience. It's also what makes him a lazy thinker, who by his own admission is bored by the theoretical. Someone who doesn't really research the positions of his opponents, because he knows that all he has to do to defeat them is argue more forcefully than they do. He trusts that he can pick apart their position using only the context clues they drop in conversation. It's tempting to call this arrogant, and on a nuts and bolts level.
So the reason why I'm too lazy to read into lefty bullshit is because most of the lefty thinkers that I've talked to haven't given me any reason to. At the very least, when I debate like alt-righters or conservatives or whatever, I usually have to read a little bit to figure out like, oh, okay, well, what is the correct position on this, or how should I feel about this? But for people on the left, they can't even answer like the very basic economic questions. Hey, how would your factory determine this? And then it's like, and they completely fall apart. It's like, okay.
Well, I suppose it sort of is, but I don't think it's because Destiny is dumb or a bad dude, though to be clear, sometimes this habit leads him to behave like a bad dude.
And I remember that, wait, I want to talk to you about this. I remember that when you told me that there's no evidence of stable communist country in the world. And you know why? Because the capitalist country in the world fuck all us up.
Even if that was true, that's not my fault that your economic system is too weak to resist outside pressure. If anything, that's another argument for capitalism. I'm sorry, like if you're amen, brother. Why do lefties think this is a slam dunk argument? Well, the reason why all the communist countries fail is because all the socialist countries fuck them over. Fuck it, dude. That ain't my fucking problem. I'm not switching to your fucking shit so that I can get fucked over by all the fucking capitalist countries. I'm not gonna fucking do it. What the fuck? Get rid of all the capitalist countries, then we can talk then. If that's legitimately the argument you want to make, that's like going outside with fucking honey smeared all over your fucking dick and then complaining that the fucking bears are eating your fucking junk. And then I don't even know what the fuck that analogy was for. I woke up like 10 minutes ago, okay? But like, if you haven't remedied the underlying problems that's fucking over your system, like the existence of all the capitalist countries, I'm not gonna fucking switch to your dumbass bullshit if it's fucking your shit over. This is pretty fucking obvious. This is a basic shit, okay? I hate this fucking dipshit ass fucking Luna is the dumbest motherfucker I've ever talked to in my life. Fuck this piece of shit, okay? Also, fuck her I should have reported that fucking video for real life violence because she said she was gonna fucking hit me. That was some fucking bullshit. The only reason I don't is because I'm guessing that she probably got a contact from her little Vietnamese government representative saying if she didn't make that video, she was gonna get fucking state executed, okay? Fuck this shit. Fuck this person and fuck that debate. And fuck that guy too. I don't even remember. Look at this guy fucking... I'm glad my comrade came in to make arguments for me. Countries roll over because they can't defend themselves. That sounds like a good argument for my system. I'm sorry, but
are you saying that they rolled over?
Wouldn't that just...
I think it's because his mind has been imprisoned.
Yes.
His imagination has been suppressed.
Yes.
By the most insidious and ubiquitous...
That's me, dude. Destiny, the imprisoned imagination. The incest debater.
...brainwashing program the world has ever seen. It's called liberalism.
Oh, liberalism.
Wait, what the frig? Thought slime?
Damn, he doesn't even go for... He goes right for the liberalism. He doesn't start with that capitalism bullshit. Okay. No hiding our power level here, boys.
What are you talking about? Uh-oh, I bet some of you are probably confused right now, particularly those that are new around these parts. You may have thought, based on your understanding of the left-right political spectrum, that as a leftist, I am therefore a liberal. You might consider values like LGBTQ+ rights, feminism, anti-racism, all things that I care deeply about, to be liberal values. You might be worried at this moment I'm about to say some real conservative shit, because you've been taught that liberal and conservative are the boundaries of serious political discourse. And allow me to set your mind at ease. Find calm, my friend. I'm not a conservative. I'm not about to attack liberalism from the right. I want to attack it from the left. In fact, I actually think it's pretty incoherent for conservatives to attack liberalism because I consider conservatives to be liberals, albeit much shittier liberals with generally shittier haircuts. Liberalism is a centrist political ideology that supports individual freedoms, in theory, representative democracy, in theory, equality under the law, in theory, and free markets, i.e. capitalism, in practice.
I don't want to like nitpick. Calling liberalism a centrist position is very strange.
Destiny,
but,
what
okay.
handgun do you CC with?
I had a Glock 17, but I didn't bring it to California with me.
On the surface, that sounds like a bunch of good things with one bad thing thrown in for flavor, and I very much stress here on the surface because I have my qualms about representative democracy even in its most idealized form. But there is a contradiction at the heart of liberalism. Individual freedoms, equality under the law, and capitalism cannot coexist. Capitalism, by its very nature, creates inequality and undermines individual liberty. You cannot have equality under the law when some people can afford to mount expensive lawsuits, keep defense lawyers on retainer, or lobby policymakers to tailor the law to suit their interests. Congrats, both you and Chevron have the same legal right to hydrofrack without worrying about whether or not you're going to poison the local drinking water. And while that may be equality under the law in the strictest sense, it's not meaningful equality because it's designed to only benefit a select few people. The idea is that laws apply equally, but that doesn't guarantee that they represent people equally. Likewise, you cannot have individual freedoms when your ability to survive is contingent on whether or not you obey your boss, whether or not you can pay your landlord, you can pay for your groceries, your power bill, whether you can pay for your medication. The very nature of capitalism and commodity production are fundamentally at odds with your ability to live freely. The methods that
God damn, this is so fucking woke, dude. I love this type of political commentary. We should just get all of our goddamn shit for free. God, it's so enlightened. Holy shit. I never thought of it that way, that you have to work. You have to fucking work to live in society. That's some bullshit. I've never felt more oppressed in my fucking life. Holy shit, this guy is fucking woke as fuck. I can't wait till we get to the part where everything is given for free and all the production and economic efficiency remain exactly the same in a centrally planned state. God, I'm so excited for that part. How woke, dude. Fuck.
Liberals suggest to fix this contradiction have failed time and again, and always will, because they're not actually interested in solving the
Speaking of failing time and again. But that wasn't true socialism.
problem, which is capitalism, because that is fundamental to their worldview. They believe that these systemic injustices are natural and unsolvable, so the best we can hope for is a free market with strong regulatory practices put in place by a vigilant state to keep the market in check.
Amen, brother.
And that certainly seems reasonable when you compare it to the other solution that mainstream politics offers, which is, I don't know, fuck it, let's just do whatever we want, and it might kill everybody, but we'll make some money. And let's not get it twisted, sometimes regulations do a real good job. Sometimes they have a very positive influence. Like, for example, we don't use leaded gasoline anymore. Thanks, regulations. Of course, leaded gasoline was only sold in the first place because it was profitable to do so, so in the absence of the profit motive, it's a problem that wouldn't have needed solving in the first place.
Wrong, wrong, wrong. Please demonstrate how in any dumbass fucking system you have, people wouldn't be using like, if you want to talk about how capitalism has fucking problems, fucking men, brother. There is some real dumbass fucking shit that exists within our fucking markets. 100%. This belief that all pollution and all bad things comes from capitalism is so stupidly fucking delusional. And every fucking conversation I've had with any fucking flavor of lefty has always had all of them abandon that fucking claim almost immediately when we start talking. Hey, so you said that pollution comes from capitalism. Oh yeah, 100%. Well, why is that? Oh, because companies are incentivized to pollute. Oh, do you think that like a workers' co-op might have like the same incentives? Do you really think they'd vote to make their job harder to like whatever? Oh, okay, I guess so. What's the next topic? Sneaky Destiny. I'm already planning my next YouTube video against you. Okay, dude.
But still, regulations did it. They fixed it. And I mean, sure, the whole process got tied up in the courts for decades because the only science on the effect of lead exposure in humans that these regulatory bodies considered as evidence was conducted by people who literally worked for lead companies. But you gotta give the system a little credit here, okay? It came to the right conclusion, and it only took 50 years of delays. while thousands of metric tons of neurotoxic
How long did it take for the Soviet Union to collapse? It was like 7 years? I don't remember. Sorry.
chemicals were pumped into the atmosphere for no reason, poisoning the entire Earth. What were they supposed to do? People had only known that lead was toxic for a couple of thousand years. These regulatory bodies were on the cutting edge of modern ancient Roman science. And they've kept us safe ever since, which is why climate change is not poised to destroy the human race within, say, 10 years. And just look how seriously our leaders are taking it. Like, for example, there is...
By the 1995, the post-Soviet countries were the world's largest consumers of leaded gasoline. In Russia, leaded gasoline had been completely banned by 2002. For comparison, in the US, it had been fully phased out by 1996, and in the EU by the year 2000. Communism leaves toxic legacy in Eastern Europe. Abandoned mines in Romania leach waters, contaminated by heavy metals into rivers. A Hungarian chemical plant produces more than 100,000 tons of toxic substances per year. Soils in Eastern Slovakia is contaminated with cancer-producing PCBs. None of this was real. None of this was real communism, though. That's the difference. It's one of my favorite things about political ideologies that exist only in books is that they're perfect. Perfect. That's my favorite thing about them, boys.
There's this recent crisis where the Amazon rainforests in Brazil were just burning down because the Bolsonaro administration is full of lunatics. And our leaders stepped up to the plate and boldly ignored it or didn't even notice. We're saved. We're honestly probably all gonna die. I don't even know why I'm making this video. Liberalism sells itself as a means to keep capital in check. With democracy and regulatory agencies, we can leverage the power of the state to prevent richos from running rampant over everyone else. If you work within the system, you can effect change without the need for violence, without any of those messy revolutions that could backfire, that could make things even worse for you. Problem is, the richos have just as much ability to leverage that power against our interests. Which is to say they actually have a lot more power to do that because they can pay thousands of people to do it for them.
Go take a shower,
they can fund entire political campaigns. They can bribe officials. They can bit by bit erode legal protections against cronyism and corruption and let everyone else exhaust their political capital trying to win them back. Not to mention, they're also signing your fucking paycheck. So how hard are you really gonna fight them exactly? We can't progress forward under capitalism because there's always a dedicated...
Wait, okay, I built so many blocks up. How do you get this achievement? I can't get it. How do you get the sniper achievement? Kill a skeleton from at least 50 meters away. I'm more than 50 blocks up. I killed that skeleton. I don't understand how you get this. Go to a desert? Z-axis doesn't count? It's why? It has to be horizontal? What? What? Dude, that's so far away.
Dedicated cabal of rich ghouls trying to pull us backwards. And within capitalism, there always will be, because our interests conflict with theirs. That's why large corporations and billionaires manage to take over all relevant political parties and carefully tailor their agendas not to interfere with the interests of the rich and powerful. All of the mechanisms that we would use to protect ourselves from the whims of the rich become recuperated and controlled by the rich. That is a feature of liberalism, not a bug. The purpose of liberalism, the reason an ideology theoretically underpinned on the idea of placing limits on the influence of the rich and powerful became useful to the rich and powerful, is that it functions as a mental filter, a way to place a limit on the possibilities one is able to imagine to combat injustice, by presenting a comforting illusion of control. You can vote for a candidate that represents your interests. I mean, sure, there might not be one that represents your interests, but you can choose whichever politician you like to vote for among the small pool of ones that matter. You're in control. Hey, are you concerned about the environment? You can buy the laundry detergent with the green cap on it, and it's got a picture of a mountain on it, so that's good for the environment. You're in control. Hey, are you worried about all the genocides your country is committing? Well, don't worry, you can write a strongly worded letter to your local representative.
Thank God, communist or socialist countries have never been involved in imperialistic behaviors or genocidal behaviors. Oh, thank goodness.
And a few months later, you'll receive a form letter saying that they take this issue very seriously, and also, they spelled your name wrong. You're in complete control. Now, what you don't want to do, what nobody wants you to do, is act outside of the system. That's brash, that's dangerous, there's no way to control that, that's not serious.
God, this guy's so woke. Totally unrelated. Has anyone here ever seen Fight Club? I love that movie. God, it's such an intelligent, it's such a good movie. It's such a good commentary on society. People think they have control, but really, they don't have any control, right? God, I love Fight Club so much. Sorry, it's not related to this at all.
Political thought?
Real quick, I probably would agree, like, with most, like, any slow reform that works, I'm always in favor of. So if you think flattening hierarchies makes people's lives better or lets them keep more money or whatever, if you start slowly doing this in some factories and it ends up like empirically working, then I'm 100% in favor of that. And I would hope that most people would be as well too.
Liberals are horny for the idea of gradual reform. You can't make too big a change, who knows what'll happen. All of the changes you make have to be incremental and easily reversible, and oops, wouldn't you know it, they got reversed by the next group of ding-dongs in power.
As opposed to socialists who want to take their minority opinion and violently murder everybody that doesn't agree with it. That's a way better way to... Good for you, man.
Now you've got to win them all back again. Round and round you go, and where you end up, everybody thinks it's pretty obvious if you think about it for even fun. It's a stopgap that prevents the public from resisting when the government or capital act against their best interest. It quells discontent by funneling all political will into the directions that the system controls, and convincing everyone that any other expression of political unrest is illegitimate. Any civil disobedience which is successful is revised in the history books until it appears as though it worked within the system, thereby demonstrating the system's flexibility and fairness. The civil rights movement, for example, faced severe state repression, were accused of being terrorists and inciting riots. But then a couple of decades later, when everyone can look back with the benefit of hindsight and realize actually the civil rights movement ruled, all the textbooks say that everything they did that was successful was thanks to passive resistance. So if you want to fight injustice, you too should be passive. If the system can work for them, and you're just going to have to take my word for it that it did, it definitely did, it worked for them, it worked great, then it'll work for you too. You just have to trust it, okay? And then you'll be fine. Just don't rock the boat too much. Any civil unrest which acts outside the system and is unsuccessful becomes demonstrative of how only working within the established boundaries can be productive. Occupy Wall Street failed because these hippy-dippy kids failed to get the right zoning permits, and that's just not how you get things done in the real world. You want to resist the government? That's fine. It's your right. Go ahead. Just make sure you fill out the right paperwork and get the government's permission before you start resisting them. Bit by bit, limits are placed on the liberal imagination until they can no longer conceive of any sort of political action outside the boundaries of liberalism. It isn't simply that they disagree with other ideologies, though of course they do. It's that they're completely unable to even picture a society that isn't liberal, succeeding, or being desirable to anyone. Therefore, the transgressions of any liberal government are just things that happened. They're just individual failures. They're not related to liberalism in any way. But the transgression...
Dude, first of all, this point that he's about to make is super ironic, considering he's going to say that there are no failed socialist or communist states because they didn't count, and those weren't failed socialism, those were failures of individual states. How can I ever shoot these skeletons far enough away to get the sniper achievement? I don't think this is possible. Like... They disappear at these ranges. 50 blocks away is how far I have to shoot? Like, that's insane. You have to go to a desert? Where are desert at? Wait, how do I get the sniper achievement? Build a wall / fence this gun is contained and leave some hole speed to shoot through. Next, if looking through the hole does not activate the mounted spawner, leave a doorway to kill it. First hit it with the sword through the hole until it's underway, then back off 50 blocks and snipe it.
of any non-liberal government are proof that only liberal governments can work in the 21st century. Take, for example, this baloney of a tweet. where Destiny talks about how using the hammer and sickle flag means condoning the Holodomor. Any support for that system means tacitly being okay with starvation and genocide. Okay, well, what about this flag? Or this flag? Well, what about this flag? Does flying these flags signify tacit support for slavery, genocide, colonialism, or manufactured famines? If the hammer and sickle are equivalent to a swastika, why aren't these, dog? And just side note, I think all of these flags are bad, but let's be real.
Firstly, sometimes it kind of does. I'm not gonna lie. I get real fucking weird when people go on those crazy fucking USA, USA, USA chants. I'm pretty sure most people are critical of America for doing that. We say the Pledge of Allegiance every day before fucking school and shit. Most people do say that kind of shit is pretty weird, firstly. Secondly, so I can't tell if this is like the big meme, like all states are equal, all countries are equal, like everything is like, I mean, like, so like is the argument that like, I don't know. I don't really want to defend American imperialism because fuck all that shit, but.
Here, let's cut through the bullshit. None of them are as bad as a swastika, and before I get accused of colonialist apologia, let me explain what I mean by that. While all of these countries have committed and are committing hideous atrocities, most people fly these flags because it's like the place that they live or were born. They don't really think about it that much. When you fly a swastika flag, you're announcing your intention to start murdering minorities.
You mean like what the Soviets did? Or what?
All of these flags have been flown while minorities have been murdered, of course, but only one of them is used exclusively to signal support for the murder of minorities. Pretend otherwise is to make excuses for the most dangerous.
Also, wait, what? This totally ignores the fact how many people that fly the hammer and sickle bullshit lived in the fucking Soviet Union. What the fuck?
Right-wing goons on the planet. The type who are organizing and rallying support for their murderous ideologies right now. Liberals will always make the distinction between liberal nations who may have done bad things and non-liberal countries, which are just essentially bad because they did bad things. To them, the crimes of liberal governments, up to and including ongoing genocide, are incidental to liberalism, but the crimes of other governments are essential to that style of governance. The upshot of this is that you can't really use any bad outcomes of liberal policy to argue with them, because they refuse to see the connection between the outcomes of liberalism and liberalism itself.
God, that's got to be so frustrating. I do agree with him there. Could you imagine if when you try to argue with somebody, they're like, hey, every single style of this form of government seems to lead to like this fucked up shit. If they were just like, well, that's not a feature of the government, that's just an individual part. I do agree with them there. That's got to be, I can't imagine how fucking frustrating that would be. Jesus, that would drive me fucking crazy. If every time you pointed out that like every time some certain economic system was tried, it led to some like fucked up results or whatever, or it was like totally untenable otherwise. I agree with that.
Look at all those hungry people in Venezuela. A definitely socialist country. Well, it just goes to show is socialism doesn't work. These people go hungry. Yep. That's why we need capitalism like we have here in my country. Oh, hey, there's a homeless guy in my neighborhood begging for change so that he can buy food.
Does anybody think that, anybody else agree that the number of homeless people in America, which is, by the way, tragic, is definitely equal to the situation in Venezuela, where they tried to nationalize half their shit, set up strict price controls, and tank the entire existence of their fucking economy? They took it from one of the strongest economies in South America to, like, a literal fucking shit show. Anyone else think these two things are entirely equivalent? Lol, lol, XD, lol, XD, lol, XD?
Don't know what happened there, I assume. A goblin must have stolen his wallet. Hello and welcome to the Eyeball Zone, where I promote small leftos who need eyeballs.
Wait, he didn't even... barely any of this video even had to do with me. Is he even...
on their work. You know what everybody loves? Spooky video games. On August 30th, 6 p.m. BST, which I think stands for British Standard Time. I don't know. Probably should have looked that up before I started recording this. Twitch streamer Brett Midway will be playing Resident Evil with their husband to raise money for Amnesty International. It's the link is in the description to their Twitch channel. You can go check that out. You don't have to wait till August 30th. You can go right now. You know what? Life's too short. Go check it out.
You know what? You know why I love capitalism? Do you know what they call me? They call me a job creator because I give all these fucking losers somebody to talk about, okay? God damn it. What a waste of time fucking video. Did that guy even cite like a single particular thing I said? Or was it literally just a chance for him to get on his little pulpit and preach the beauties of socialism for an hour? Or 20 minutes? It's not over? Was it really? I don't know. He started plugging some other...
Twitch streamer Brett Midway
Is he not done?
will be playing Resident Evil with their husband to raise money for Amnesty International. It's the link is in the description to their Twitch channel. You can go check that out. You don't have to wait till August 30th. You can go right now. You know what? Life's too short. Go check it out. Hey, do you need eyeballs on some explicitly leftist project? Well, just send a dang old email to thoughtslimeeditor@gmail.com and I'll see if I can hook you up, but maybe I can't because I get a lot of these emails. Oh well, I'm trying. Now we return to our regularly scheduled programming.
Oh, okay.
There's a very frustrating exchange between Non-Compete and Destiny, where Destiny asks how an anarchist factory would deal with a majority white workforce using its majority to force racist legislation on the entire group. American points out a number of ways that could be resolved, theoretically, but ultimately...
No, not really. Man, I really hope he goes over some of the examples he gave because he didn't really give any good answers to that at all. He was slimy and wiggly as fuck because he had no good answer to that, but...
ultimately concedes that no method of labor organizing can solve racism. And Desties think this is a real slam dunk argument.
guys.
Checkmate, Anarchitties. Racism is still possible in a factory, even if you're anarchist. Checkmate. And I mean, Homeboy's not wrong to say that anarchist labor organizing alone won't solve racism. I mean, he's wrong to suggest that we think that. For the record, we don't.
You can play the Jordan Peterson game and say, I don't think another form of economics will solve racism. But when you constantly say capitalism reinforces racism and capitalism constantly makes racism more horrible in our country, blah, 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 you kind of sort of make it sound like if you switch to a different system, it's going to either fix itself or be like dramatically alleviated. I think that's a fair statement, but okay.
What he misses is he never turns that analysis inwards towards the society that he's defending. Imagine a big factory
Wait, don't I literally... I'm sorry, don't I literally in that very debate answer his question when I say like, well, in a capitalist system you have HR firms because you're pressured, because if you have bad publicity about your company in a capitalist system, it's going to decrease the social utility of your product. People are probably going to be less likely to buy it. You're going to go out of business. We've got protected classes in our government that protects like against certain types of discrimination. I'm pretty sure I specifically say this in the conversation. By the way, these protected classes are things you probably couldn't really do effectively under an anarchist government, whatever. Like, but okay, I guess we can pretend I didn't say any of that.
making gewgaws. 70% of the workers are white, 30% are black in this hypothetical factory that I've made up. In this made-up anarchist society, each worker has a commiserate amount of ownership and say over the way that the factory is run and what is done with the gewgaws it produces. If the white workers decided to stiff the black workers, they'd have majority control and they could do that. Pretty good example of a situation where collective ownership can run into problems. Good job so far. Now, let's take a look at the same example in a liberal capitalist model. The decisions are no longer made by consensus, they're made by one dude, the boss. And since white workers outnumber black workers almost 2 to 1, he's likely to be white even if we don't factor in institutionalized racism. Now, a white person gets to make decisions unilaterally. The black workers have gone from 30% control over their workplace to 0%, which is not exactly liberating.
Okay, so firstly, the ratio of workers doesn't change under an anarchist system, right? We can agree with that, firstly. Secondly, I mean, depending on how you're doing your votes, going from 30% of the vote to 0% of the vote, I don't know how significant that is if you're in a racist workforce. I don't know how much that matters. I guess maybe in some, if you have to pull less whites over to your side, I guess. But I mean, like, functionally, 30% can be 0%. If you've got 10 people voting on what kind of pizza they want and you're only ordering one pizza and 0 out of 10 people vote for pepperoni or 3 out of 10 people vote for pepperoni, you're kind of left with the same pizza. Kind of a simplistic analogy, but maybe I shouldn't use a food analogy to a socialist. That might be triggering, but...
Aha! Ding dong. In a liberal society, I can ask government for help. You know, if the laws are on your side, and also the laws are enforced. And also, you're not afraid of losing your job or being retaliated against. And also, your employee hasn't found a loophole, like just pretending that all of his bullshit is based on performance rather than race. And also, if all of those conditions are met, there's really nothing stopping your employer from just screwing over all of their employees rather than improving conditions for black employees. If you live in a liberal democracy, you might notice that there's still systematic racism. The regulations that were meant to address this problem didn't fix it. Now, they've helped, and we're meant to treat that as sufficient. Giving direct...
Why? That's such a vacuous statement. Now, we've done some changes in racism in liberal society, and we're meant to treat that as sufficient. No, we don't. Dude, we talk about fucking systemic racism and institutional issues in the United States all the fucking time. How are we going to pretend like these conversations stopped? Unless you're some brain-dead fucking Republican. No one in the U.S. pretends that racism is fucking fixed.
Direct control of the workplace to the worker, I would argue, would also, on its own, fail to solve this problem. But it would also, likewise, help a great deal. But that, somehow, is woefully insufficient. So yeah, this is a problem that could come up in an anarchist society. You know, if anarchists decided the only thing that we wanted to do was organize factories, and then decide, revolution done. No need to solve other problems, everybody. That everything's gonna be fine. Good job, comrades. Let's all go get Popeyes. Couldn't think of a funny thing they'd be getting. I don't know. Is Popeyes funny? I don't know if that joke was funny. But even if it's a problem that could come up in an anarchist society, it's also a problem that has happened and is happening in liberal societies right now. That's incidental for liberalism, but essential for the system he's critiquing because he can imagine it. The system he's critiquing, by the way, doesn't exist, so we can say it has all sorts of problems. It's full of vampires. What if people's legs fall off? Now, in fairness to him, we don't have data for what a hypothetical anarchist world would look like. We have some small data samples for anarchist countries, which seem to do pretty dang good, all things considered, but we'll never know until we try. At some point, every economic...
What are the anarchist countries that do good? Was there a good example outside of, like, Catalonia or whatever that existed for like 4 years after that revolution shit? Wait, hold on. I need to like hit the ceilings in order to actually be able to... Wait. Can I do this? Mad Max. No.
system, every political system, every fucking idea was untried. Liberalism was a new idea at one point, and they fought bloody revolutions.
Hey, the science is a liar sometimes argument. Just, you know, in the past they said X wouldn't work and now it works. Therefore, anything can work because they said something wouldn't work and then it did work, so now everything can work. I love that argument. It's one of the most intellectual arguments I know.
To install that. It's pretty convenient that after the fact it became too dangerous to try new ideas without some arbitrary amount of data, don't you think? No, we just have to stick with our current model because at least we have the data to know that it doesn't work and will destroy Earth. And that's how the liberal mind prison works. It's a difficult problem to solve because we're fighting against a complicit education system and mass media. Anyone can make a single compelling argument against the liberal. But can you make 12 years of compelling arguments between the key developmental ages of 5 and 17? Can you reinforce those compelling arguments with a complete hegemony over all mainstream political discourse?
Oh, no.
No, you can't. Don't say that you can, because you can't do it. And look, I get it. Even making a good argument can be difficult because it's easy to get frustrated with liberal smugness and just want to yell at them. Just fucking stop thinking this way. I don't really know how to solve that problem entirely, but I'd like to offer one suggestion. When arguing with a liberal, or anyone else for that matter, never justify your position without demanding that they also justify theirs. The purpose of this is simple, to demonstrate to liberals that their positions are not just the default. They're not just the natural way things are, they're a choice. They're an ideological position just like anyone else's that must be justified. Getting these wieners to consider that they even have a position is half of the battle. Getting them to recognize that their assumptions about the world require justification and can't just be taken as a given. You can take them out of the liberal mind prison by forcing them to make their case. Now, they might remain liberal afterwards, in fact, they probably will, but it means they have to prove themselves to you just as much as you have to prove yourselves to them. Passionately pleading our case and letting them sit back and poke holes lets them continue to imagine themselves as the judges of reasonability. It lets them play pretend like they know what is and is not realistic. It makes them the authority in the conversation you must win over. And don't give them that. Make them justify themselves to you. And here's a Thought Slime original you can have for free. If they start complaining about the death toll of socialism, whatever ridiculous number they believe that to be, go ahead and ask them
Is that, wait, what, I wonder, are we sneaking in the tanky apologia there? Or is that when people try to say, like, communism killed 100 million people or whatever, which is pretty dumb?
They feel about the fact that capitalism is leading us towards climate collapse and will literally kill all people in the world unless it's stopped. That's not a real easy thing to justify. There's not, well, okay, sure, it's gonna kill all of us, but I got an iPhone. Did you see Avengers Endgame? It's pretty cool. Fans finally got to see Spider-Man and Rocket Raccoon together on the screen. Good, top that, socialists. What kind of movies are you gonna make? Are they even gonna have Groot in them? Are you socialist movies even gonna have Groot? Didn't think so. Hello, it's me, Thought Slime. I'm back again. I'd like to give a shout out to Alex from Lost in the Fold, who made this ridiculously adorable little Thought Slime guy, a little paper fold-up toy.
Hey, does my voice sound different? It's because I recorded this part at a separate time.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for that one, guys. I feel like I just listened to somebody rant about socialism for 40 minutes. You guys think that cocaine is something that you can get addicted to, like, pretty quickly?
Yes.
Like, chemically?